You'll find sometimes you know where you are, but not where you want to be. Just take your time, really pace yourself, have a little bit of faith in you. You'll find you know, and then you don't. You'll find that you feel it, and then you don't. It's only the beginning. Please don't sweat it. It's only the beginning. Please don't sweat it. Oh, we love it, better believe it. We need you just the way you are, just the way you are. We love you, better believe it. Oh, I wish to show you love, show you love, my Africa. I'll show you love.
Hi everyone, my name is Mame. Today we're doing this with from the Independent Voice Forum. Independent Voice is a YouTube channel that I have created, but it really gave me the opportunity to also create a forum for us to have conversation, an open and honest conversation, asking hard questions and challenging the system here, us, the diaspora community, as well as the system in general here. And I'm so grateful that I have this opportunity in this forum. I have the greatest opportunity and an honor to bring you Mika Chavala, all the way from Tanzania, and the founder of Swahili Nation. I am so grateful that you can find from your busy schedule an hour to spend with me and talk about the most important topic, at least for me. And before I went into today's conversation with you, we're not going to make this formal. This is going to be an informal conversation, but a very important one, right? Mm-hmm. So I've been following your social media, and I know you are very active. I just want to say, begin this conversation saying, we're so proud of you. We are so grateful that somebody is, taking the lead and just pressing, especially approaching the young generation the way you are. It's incredible. You have done quite a bit. I've read your biography. It's amazing. So what I would like to do is, instead of me trying to tell the world who you are, take a few minutes and please introduce yourself. And then we're going to get into the main purpose of our conversation today. So take it away.
Yeah. So guys, I'm Mika Chavala, and I'm from the most beautiful continent in the world, Africa, Tanzania. Not much about me because I started my undergraduate studies in South Korea, and I lived there for 9 years. Actually, I just came back from there last year in September, so I'm still trying to adjust to a lot of stuff. But that's where I began my my mission and Swahili Nation like 2 to 3 years ago. But this vision has always been, has been in the making for over 9 years, something that was always there. And, but 3 years right now, 3 years up to now, we decided to come, publicly and to just start, the mission. And it has everything to do with a lot of things that I experienced throughout my life, even especially in South Korea, 9 years. Yeah. So that's, I think, a little bit about myself. And what we do. What we do is we are trying to bring all Africans together through this platform, Swahili Nation. So the vision of Swahili Nation is to have one Africa in our generation. And that's what we have been trying to do and, to fighting for.
Not an easy task. You just mentioned in one sentence, bringing the continent of Africa. It hasn't been an easy task, but really kudos to you, hats off. We've been watching, I've been watching and following you, and you really have done an amazing job doing what you set out to do. Today, Mika is joining me all the way from Tanzania. I cannot wait to visit somewhere in Africa. I know I've been to Ethiopia. I lived in Kenya. I loved my experience and the time that I spent in Kenya many years ago. Yeah.
How long did you live there?
I lived there for about 2 years. Right out of high school, I think I went to college there, Daystar University. I attended Daystar for a couple of years, almost 2 years, and then I moved here. I'm really, once again, grateful and glad I have this opportunity to have the very first conversation with you. I think this is going to be one of many conversations you and I can have in this forum. So today I really wanted to start this kind of conversation discussion by just talking about Pan-Africanism. You know, lately we hear the word Pan-Africanism and Pan-Africa, Pan-African. A lot of people claim to be Pan-Africanist.
Yeah.
And every now and then I ask people, so what exactly does that mean to you? And I get different answers. The very simple definition that I liked when I looked it up is the understanding of people of African descent that we have, or they have, common interest, and they must unite. Underlying the word unite. That's the very basic foundation of Pan-Africanism. And then if you look at the technical definition of Pan-Africanism, it says the principle or advocacy of the political union of all indigenous inhabitants of Africa. So I just want to throw that out there, you know, basically, and I know there is even more profound definition that somebody can come up with, but just kind of thinking about that, I want to start with asking you the very first question. So from your perspective and your experience, what does Pan-Africanism mean to you?
That's really a good question. I received that question so many times, and I think my answer will surprise you, because me myself, I don't really call myself Pan-Africanist. First of all, not because I don't believe in Pan-Africanism, but because I'm always very careful with with the labels, right? But people, they always call me, Pan-Africanist, and I love, because the work that I'm doing, or the work that we are doing, it's all about that, right? It's all about that. But I try to not call myself that way because of the perspective, as you say. A lot of people, they actually don't really know what Pan-Africanism means, and the moment you just say it, they get offensive, right? And they try to, take you down in the way, right? We have seen that, over and over and over again, here in the continent. So for me, I usually just, for example, what I'm doing, I just call myself, I'm just an African who loves Africa and is ready to do anything for Africa, because Africa is my land. Africa is where, I was born, and it's my identity, and it's my responsibility to protect, and it's my responsibility to do everything in my power to make sure that not only me, but also my people are safe. And me saying all these things, it's all about Pan-Africanism, and that's why you cannot really separate this, all these kind of things, right? So for me, before, I was not even interested, by the way, in fighting for Africa, all those kind of stuff. I was not interested. But when I had my trip to Korea, South Korea, that's when I realized that, dang, man, this is how they see us. Wow. Like, first of all, they didn't even think that I was from Africa. When they saw me, they're like, hey, are you from America? Oh, are you from like Philippines or something like that? Because some of them believe that Africans can never make it out there. What kind of money do you have to come here, right? Some of them, they're asking me questions like, how did you get here? And I was like, I walked from Tanzania to South Korea, right? Because they're like, how do you get the money to come all the way here and to do things that you're doing, right? So the idea outside of Africa, the system, the way it was created, the way people are doing or talking, it was never created for a black man, for Africans. And when you go there, you realize that, man, this world, I thought this world is for all of us, but it seems like this world is not for black people, right? And that's when I think this righteous anger, it started to build inside of me, and I was like, you know what, I gotta fight for my people. And that's when all this stuff started, because of of what I have seen. And coming back home to Africa, it's surprisingly, the system that is working out there, it's also right now, it's keep like eating little by little, even inside the continent. When you go outside, you feel like it's not your world. When you come inside here, you feel like somebody else is in charge of everything that you're doing, right? Even owning like everything, pretty much everything in your country. And you're like, when am I gonna be free? Right. And that's why one of our biggest mission is to decolonize the mind, because I realize that this might not be the same case to Ethiopians, but for those countries that have been colonized, you realize that our minds, the way like we have been wired in a way, like because of colonization and education system and everything that came after that, our mind has been wired to praise, a white man. It's been wired to look like them in a different way that we look at each other, right? And that's why you see, we have a lot of conflicts. You see, today, if I decide to leave this country and go to another country, I'll be treated like, foreigner. And it's even hard for African to visit another African because it's too expensive for tourism than me going to Europe and go to like European Union to visit this country and that country. If today decide to come here, you're gonna have to pay a lot of money, and you're African. And this is Africa. So like the system, even in the continent, is not, you realize that it has been rigged. Outside is like that, inside is like that. And what should we do? Are we gonna continue to sit down and complain that, oh my goodness, okay, I'm gonna run away from Africa, I don't wanna be here anymore? No, the best thing we can do is stand up, fight for the next generation, because our forefathers, Haile Selassie, Julius Kambarage Nyerere, Mandela, Kenneth Kaunda, and all those different, ancestors, they fought so hard for us to be where we are here today. They gave us independence, right? And we are so grateful for that. But what are we doing today to make sure that our kids will have a new system, a system that is for Africans and is working for only Africans? And that's what we are fighting for right now.
Wow. That is so on point. You have said quite a bit, and maybe moving forward we can kind of dissect these things, because first of all, like I said, you started out with saying bringing Africa or Africans together. I mean, it's a continent. The rest of the world does not even know or understand, or I don't know, have the knowledge that Africa is a continent and not something that you just shove in some corner. Let's just set that aside. And then you also talked about the righteous anger. We're not angry for no reason. This is not being just angry people. People do get angry for different reasons. But the fact that you put it in a way to say that this is a righteous anger, and if you think about it, so what does that mean? Why are we saying this is a righteous anger? Is there such thing? And there is, because you talked about wanting to see in Africa that is for Africans. And you asked the question, when am I ever going to be free? In most cases, Africa is not necessarily as we know it, colonized in like in your face right here, this is happening type of thing, but mentally, but in our head, but in our thinking and how we are made to feel, can we really say that? No. Because anything and everything other than African or Africa is better, right? It's good. You and I can say certain things, same things that somebody else could, and if they happen to be somebody different, that gets more merit than anything and everything you and I have to say. I mean, you can talk about Pan-Africanism till you turn blue. If somebody comes in, and you know what I mean by that, and just says, oh, we think Africa ought to be like this, that, right? That all of a sudden becomes the true statement. That all of a sudden becomes the must have. It must be right because somebody that looked like this and spoke like this or lived here or there said it. So it must be good. And, I always say this, for the longest time, we were led to believe something that is different from us was the right thing, was the correct thing, was the acceptable thing. I mean, if you're going to be considered this or that, you have to look like this. You have to speak like that. You have to live here. And that's not being free. And we'll talk about the mindset. You and I will talk about the changing of the mindset. But so let's bring it down a little bit. Maybe let's take it down. Let's break it apart. So you said, like I said, I mean, it's about unity. It's about wanting to see Africans being Africans and celebrating who we are, valuing what we have, and allowing the rest of the world to know. I want to be able to encourage this upcoming generation in saying, I cannot wait to go back to Africa because I was there and I came back a different person. I was there. Oh my God. I cannot wait to return. I cannot wait to do this, that, and the other, because most of us, right, including me, I would say this again, I lived here longer than I lived in Africa. I left the country at such a young age. I gave everything I have, including my youth, right? And whatever else that I have to contribute here. Yeah. And a lot of people say, oh, you know, when I get old, I'm going to go to Africa. And I always say, wait, stop. But why? Like, you've given everything you have. And all of a sudden you don't have much to give. You're just going to, take a suitcase full of money and just chill in Africa? I mean, what do you have to contribute? That's not fair. I've always said that, and you know, and I mean that, because that's also for me. And just listening to you, and the reason why I wanted to reach out to you is because your energy in making Africa what it is and what it can be, and reaching out to this upcoming generation that is kind of oblivious to what it would be like to pour into the continent, to pour into Africa, and to develop it and to grow it. My next question is, let's just put maybe concrete examples behind it. So when we say, I always say challenges are opportunity, right? Exactly. And the different challenges that we went through, especially in Ethiopia lately, kind of brought us together for that unitedness, right? The continent started to unite. We got to know you. We got to know so many different people that did not necessarily have the platform, the forum, or that fire, that righteous anger to just bust out and go out there and say, enough already. This is what we need. Okay, so what does it mean? So based on what you said and based on the definition we talked about, if I'm the type of person who wants to see Africa united, who wants to see us mentally, emotionally, and physically freed, what do we need to do? What does that mean? I mean, how do we put it into action? Like, what does that look like in real life? So let's talk about that.
Indeed. You know, one thing that I believe I've been, talking about all the time, and also acting, is, togetherness. That, as I said, that, our goal is one Africa, to have one Africa, like to have a united Africa. And what does that mean? It means that if you're in trouble, I'm in trouble. I always say this, that if your neighbor is not at peace, you cannot be at peace. So if in Africa, like, you take an example of what was going on in Ethiopia, during the normal movement and everything, what was happening there, it was very significant to the whole continent, of Africa. And it was always my cry that Africa to come together and to stand with Ethiopia. And, the matter of fact, like, to actually stand for themselves as well, because the struggle that was going on there, it's going like on everywhere, in every single country in Africa. But the difference is, Ethiopians, they stood up and they were speaking about it, right? While others, they were actually not speaking about it. So it's about, we are all like one Africa. Basically, it means that, hey, we are all together in this, right? You ain't alone anymore. Whatever you're going through, I'm going there with you, right? And whatever happens to you, it happens to me. And I always like to take an example of European Union. It's not a perfect union, but those countries, I mean, Europeans, they hate each other so much. They were killing, each other for almost 100 years, right? And they figured out that, okay, the only solution for us to stand and to actually, prosper and not killing each other, killing ourselves, we need to be united. They don't agree in everything, right? In fact, they hate each other, but they know that, the only solution for us to stand, to survive, is for us to have this union, to be united, so that because we all have common interests. Why don't we join our common interests and stand together? And whatever issues that we're dealing with, we can solve them. That is Pan-Africanism for me, right? That you look at Africa, all these borders that we have, they were created a long time ago by colonizers. And why they created this? Because they wanted to divide and rule. They wanted to rule us. When you go to Angola, Angola used to be the part of Congo Kingdom. They used to call it Ngola. Ngola, it means the kingdom. And it was part of Congo. They used to speak the same language. They used to be together. You go to Burundi and Rwanda, Tanzania here, it was basically one country, right? You can go to anywhere in Africa, right? But they came and they divided to rule and conquer. And we have been trying to struggle and talking about, Pan-Africanism for over 50 years right now. But there's only one solution for us to solve all the issues that we are going through, and that is unity. Because we can never prosper if we don't come together. Like, it's not gonna happen, because that's not how we were designed. Like, when God was designing us, he didn't design us in that way. But a man came and changed the plan that was already there and put his own plan. And that's what we are struggling right now and suffering. And that's why I always ask myself that, we know what is the source of the issues we are going through, and we know what is the solution, why we do not take the step. And that's why, for me, I believe putting on the action of what we are doing is starting from the bottom up. And that's all about our organization, that we don't focus on the leadership, because we know a lot of people, they have, resentment towards, leaders. And a lot of people, they feel like you guys are not doing what you're supposed to do. They look at the African Union, they say, you guys are not doing, you're not there for us. And so for us, we're coming with different approach, that we have to connect our people. We don't need to have one Africa on papers, but we want our people to be united. If our people stop killing one another, if our people stop hating one another, if I can go today, I'm Nigerian, can go to South Africa without being killed, somebody accusing me of taking their jobs, right? If one country, let's say in Ethiopia, I'm from this tribe and another person is from that tribe, if we can look at each other and smile at one another, that, hey, you're my brother, oh, I'm your sister. And just that, if we can have that, then definitely we're going to develop our continent. And we don't even need this bureaucracy to write on papers, whatever. No, if we can come together, if we can bring our people together and work together beyond, regardless of our ethnicity or religion or color or languages, if we do that, I believe the change, it will come very soon. And that's why if you look at our community, it's the combination of everybody from everywhere, right? And these days I've been trying to have conversation with countries that I haven't seen yet in the channel, to bring more people from those places. And we are planning to go to every single country in Africa, to go to the universities, because those are people who are very close to taking on leadership or become father and mother, being CEOs or being the owner of this business. And if we reach out to them with our messages, then we believe that we're going to impact the society, in a short period of time, because those are influences, what I'm saying? So, and that is our approach. And I think, to answer your question, I think that's what we can do, because most of the time when we look at our governments and all those stuff, sometimes, the ordinary folk are being neglected, like farmers, people that they don't have a certain status in the society, they've been neglected, but those are the foundation, those are the backbone of our countries, of our economies and everything. And if we don't focus on them, then I don't know where we're gonna be, because most of educated people here in Africa, most of them, they want to go out of Africa, because they feel like there's a better life outside of Africa, right? And I went outside of Africa, and then I realized that, I came back home and I realized that there's a better life here. It's very stereotypical to know, like, to think that way, maybe because of the movies that we always watch and stories that we always hear, all those poison that we get from social media all the time, and we want to run away. But there's a better life here in Africa, and that's what we're trying to tell our people, that if we do that, if we work on that, I'm pretty sure, man, it's worthy, and we're going to see one Africa in our generation.
You touched on so many huge topics. I mean, the brain drain. I remember a few years back when I first started going back to Ethiopia after so many years, the one thing that we discussed and talked about is, and the entire country was talking about, is the brain drain. You touched on that towards the end of what you were saying. Everybody that is a professional, people that are trained, people that have gained some kind of experience, some kind of knowledge, they would find a way to leave. So you're taking that resource outside of the country. None of us kind of saw it that way, but for a few years, it has been an issue. What is enticing people to do that? What is pushing them? We also need to take a look at that. You also touched on coming together and uniting. You touched on, initially responsibility, and in order for us to come to what you said, there is better life or betterness in Africa. We can make Africa something to be desired. It takes intentional action, right? I mean, you have to do these things deliberately. Like, that's why I wanted us to come down maybe from the 30,000 feet conversation discussion to bring it down to the human level, like it on individual basis. What do we need to do? So when somebody says, and you talked about the negativity, do I join in the negativity and tear down Africa and say, whatever? Or do I be the person to stand in that gap and say, so what can I do? We always like to quote Gandhi, be the change you want to see, right? You said it, it's nice on a piece of paper. We all could say some fabulous and profound things, but how do you actually put it to action? How do you bring it to fruition? How do I become that? If I'm going to be the change I want to see, then it's got to be more than words, right? And you and I talked a little bit about this yesterday. It's not a hype. I know Pan-Africanism has been a movement since the 1990s. Okay, it started out with two individuals that had the guts to say, wait a second, wait. But look where we're at, right? And you mentioned the word responsible. You said, I'm responsible. We all are responsible. There's a reason why we were born in Africa. Somebody did not make a mistake. And you also talked about when God created us, he created us to unite. He created us equal. Here's the thing. We always talked about how we're not seen as equals elsewhere. Why are we not seen equals in the continent of Africa? Why?
That's a good question.
I mean, why? Right?
That's a good question.
I'm always told you Africans, antagonize each other. And I'm like, so what do we do? What do we do to stop it? If we know that that's what we're doing, we're tearing down each other in words, in actions, and or in inaction, what do we do? Why are we not equal within our own continent?
I'm glad. I'm glad that you brought that question, and also I'm glad that you've spoken about change because, right now we are doing one campaign called Change to Change. And basically, we're saying that be the change Africa needs, right? If I always say this, that as long as you see the problem, that means you have a solution, right? And I cannot change Africa if I do not change, because everything we see, it begins with me, right? We can blame white people to come and colonize our country, but also we can blame those people who opened the doors and sold our people to them. So, and everything else that is going on right now. And I think we see each other differently. This is just my personal thought. I think it has everything to do with what happened, from what I've seen, what happened in the past. There's some countries that have been in the conflict in the past, and I'm trying to be very careful. There's this one kid I met. He's like 8 years old, very young kid. And I asked him this question. I said, hey, who do you want to become when you grow up? And he said, I want to become rich. And I was like, why do you want to have a lot of money? He said, I want to have a lot of money and I want to buy a private jet And I was like, for what? You say, I want to use it to go and to kill those people.
Ooh.
It is 8 years old little kid. And you know, it broke my heart, and I was crying. And but when you hear the stories of what happened to that kid and the community that he was in, like his family lost everyone because of the conflicts that was going on. Like it's very easy sometimes to justify that, to be like, but I understand, like, look at what has happened to them. So that rage is just still there because of the history, because of what happened in the past. And because of that, I think also parents, they play a part in a way that they say, hey, those people, you can never love them. You can never go to those people. Those are the evil ones. They did this and this and that. 50 years ago, they did this and this. So today we have a community that is living under, like, they're holding things back that happened long time ago, 50 years ago. The mistake were made, yes, but we are still living in the same thing, and we see each other different, and we hate one another, and we're not ready to come together because of what happened in the past. And I don't know how are we going to have a process of reconciliation between one country and another of all these things that we had, but I think that's one of the reason why we look at each other differently. We can say about other things like, you know, colonialism, you know, when these people came, they were always very smart. They always like to use a certain type of community, like, let's say, a tribe or, you know, people, and like feed them with poison about the other certain group of people, right? And these groups start hating another group because of something that they've been told with somebody else. And we have seen that everywhere, in Rwanda, in so many countries across the Africa, I can name all of them, it happens. And honestly, I'm trying to answer this question, but I don't know where I'm going. But I guess I know that is the problem. And, you know, that's why we are trying to do what we are doing today, to decolonize the mind. And that is the hard thing to be done. It's a hard thing to be done. But I always believe that as long as you change one person, then you're doing something, right? I don't have to change 10,000 people in a day, but I can reach out to one person, and if I change that one person, can change another one. So we are creating an army of people that will go out and change one person at a time, and that is our focus. And I hope, you know, the next generation will do so much better than where we are right now.
Right. So once again, very powerful. The power of one. I always say, I'm not called to change the world, but I can change the world of one. And if I can successfully do that, good for me. Maybe I can do it the second time, the third time, or the fourth time. I've been saying this for, I don't know, maybe 20-some years. I always say, I'm not out here to try and change the world because I'm little me. I cannot do that. But if I can change, you know what I mean? Like, I've been around you somewhere.
Wow, yeah.
Well, you know, here's the thing. This is the value in which we were raised in, right?
Yeah.
We're from Africa. The culture, the upbringing, the family bond. I mean, there are some things that we can all relate with. And just hearing you talk about these things, I'm like, yep, that too. Because the mindset is there. It's how to get there that we separate, right? We know, so just talking about it, we're saying Pan-Africanism is not necessarily this thing that you become, right? It's about unity, it's about togetherness, it's about responsibility, it's about being a positive role model for whoever is around us, and then the next generation, and also, you know, the rest of the world that's watching Africa. And then being free from within. Being free right here and being okay with an African, you know? We could sit here and talk about this thing all day long, trust me, but we could say so much. I'm trying to bring it to like high level type of thing that we're talking about. You know, when we say unity, we're not going to say 1, 2, 3, go, we're united. That's just not going to happen, right? We can keep our uniqueness, but much you can be united. Meaning, it leads us to what you talked about, togetherness. Like, if something happens and if my hand slaps my face accidentally, my eye is gonna cry. Right?
Yeah.
It's just, and you put it nicely. If when some part of Africa struggles or something happens, the entire continent bleeds.
Exactly.
The entire continent loses. So responsibility leads us to responsibility. We all are responsible to make sure that we can retain and maintain what we have, because ever since I started going back to Ethiopia, and I went there after so many years, I was kind of like, okay, shocked. I mean, like I said, I lived here longer than I lived over there. And when I first went there, I felt as though I was a stranger in my own country. Like, they did not know what to do with me. I didn't know how to approach it. It took a little bit, you getting used to again and reacclimating, right? We could be still different. We could be whatever it is that we could be. Like, I'm from Ethiopia. I lived in Kenya. I want to go so many different African countries more than ever. Like, I've, growing up over there.
We'll go together.
Count me in.
Let's go on a mission.
I am telling you, I'm ready, whatever it takes.
I'm ready.
I told you already, we were getting ready to bring 5 different African countries right before COVID hit and the war started. But that's my righteous anger. You talked about this righteous anger. That's my passion. That's my compassion. It's like, even if it kills me, I am going to bring the continent of Africa in one room and see what happens.
Come on, somebody. Amen to that. Hey.
What's going to happen to us? Like, we're going to bring the continent, people from the continent of Africa in the same room. And see what I've raised 2 kids, and my oldest child, like I said, she's been to Korea, but when she talks about wanting to do these things in Africa, going to Africa and oh, no, this cannot happen and that cannot happen. And if we don't wake up now and if we don't do this, this continent ain't going to look anything like. I'm like, wow, somebody. You know what I mean? That's what we need. That's the kind of fire we need. But when they watch us antagonize each other, they're going to be like, hey, are we Africans? Do we want to be African? Because you all don't like each other. And that's the kind of awakening we need to do. We need to just be real. We need to own it. We need to admit that we have a hand in what is going on. Maybe whatever percentage we want to designate and assign might be different, but I always say that we Africans have some hand in it. I mean, look what's going on. We are out there on social media literally dogging Africa. Like, who else to go to Africa anymore? Like, that's something to be avoided. Even Africans. I'm not saying we hide the facts, but I'm saying, then what are you going to do about it? If we are going to say this, that, and the other, are we prepared to do anything about it? Before we wrap up, let's do one thing. So we talked about what it can be and what it is, right? Pan-Africanism. Let's talk about what it isn't.
Well, one thing that I do believe it's not is that I'm not better than anyone else. No, I'm not lesser than anyone else. I think a lot of people, they misunderstand Pan-Africanism, and they think maybe this is something that is say, Africans are better than you. Africa is better than you. We all have different, qualities, right? You might be good at A and bad at B, and I might be good at B and bad at A. And that's what makes it very special and so unique. We say that, hey, Pan-Africanism, Africans, we are unique, we are special, but it doesn't mean that we are better than you. You're special in your own way, and we are special in our own way, and we want to be recognized that way. Because now we know that we are. And that's enough. If we know who we are, it's enough. Like, we don't need any validation from anybody, because we already know ourselves. But the system and everything, it needs to adjust to that as well, to be recognized as a human being and all this stuff. So I think that's one of the things that I can say. What about you? I would like to hear from you.
To me, what it isn't really is, the last couple, 2-3 years, and I agree 100%. Don't send me any kind of mean comments. I agree challenges are opportunities, because we faced challenges beyond anybody's understanding. It did bring us together. But my thing is, do we need that kind of challenge again and again and again for us to get it and to unite? So what Pan-Africanism is and isn't, it's not just talk. It's being, it's becoming. And I think you brought it up really nicely. Me, myself, and I, you know, when somebody puts themselves on a pedestal, or all of a sudden there is the whole, this whole creating clout and creating that little circle, the clan mentality, you know, like you bring one and you just completely destroy another. In order for me to be seen standing, I have to stand on somebody, or I have to tear down somebody because I want to be considered better, be seen, taller, whatever the reason and the motivation may be. We do not know how to pull each other. Sometimes even giving way to somebody that could possibly have a better opportunity, a better chance. That is not Pan-Africanism. When we see one African trying to make it in the world, we go literally, yeah, you know, what's an African gonna do, right? We tear that person down. We consider people not to be humans. We all are humans. We make mistakes. We have shortcomings. We're not perfect. We do not learn from other communities, other nations. I always give the Asians as the example. Do you hear them go out in public and duke it out? They don't. Do they have conflicts amongst themselves? 100%, because I've worked with them. But do you see them do that? Do you not see them lift one another? I mean, we sit around. I'm kind of talking about here, the diaspora, as well as back in Africa. We tear down our own, and all of a sudden we don't have anyone to build, because everybody, you know, according to us, is not good enough. You know what I mean? If it isn't me, it's nobody. And my thing is, if not me, then who? Why not you? Why not me? Why not that other person? Why not? So to me, as much as we are so big about being Pan-Africanist, let's be it. Let's put it to action. What it isn't is about being about me and just me. You know what I mean? Like, it isn't about putting Africa completely, like the whole continent, and just tearing it down to just come across I'm better, or I am this. That really bothers me. To me, that's not Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism sees, that has that glass that sees everyone as human. If I see myself in that same lens, then I can see others in that same lens too. If I could see my own shortcomings, if I could see what my potential is for good, bad, or indifferent, then I could see others in that same lens. If I'm going to be given an opportunity, if I'm going to be given in some kind of way, I have to learn how to give away, right?
Exactly.
Instead of being that, I'm going to block you, ain't going to go anywhere because you think you're going to climb up, or you think you're going to do this, that, and the other. I think what Pan-Africanism isn't is the mindset most of the time, most of us hold on to. Pan-Africanism is not about dogging something and tearing down each other and antagonistic approach. Pan-Africanism really is embracing Africa. And I have to say this, you might know her. She is a comedian on YouTube. Anne Can't See Me. I hope I said the name right. Well, I've been following her for quite some time now. She started getting into the whole lifting Africa. When you see her, even in her funny jokes, and then what she has evolved to be lately, oh my God, you and I talked about it. The moment somebody has something that allows them the opportunity to take and just run with it, she didn't. She poured everything that she gained in her little village.
Yes.
I mean, the place that she has someday, I hope to God I get to go visit. I mean, she has this huge land that she had built. It's like a retreat place. It's beautiful. It's so quiet. It's green. It's a beautiful place. And then she decided to also become a singer. Girl knows how to sing.
Wow.
And one of her songs was My Africa. I love Africa. Just simple. But because I followed her and I kind of heard some of her stories and her background and whatnot, when she came up with that, honestly, it really resonated with me. It got me in the heart. You know, we love you just the way you are, is what she says. And I'm gonna show you love of my Africa. It changed the way I see things. A lot of times, the lens that we see Africa from is not a positive one, like you were saying. Most of the time, we see the bad, the ugly, the negative. So we put out that. What about the good? I mean, is there anything good about Africa? 100%. So many things that are good about Africa. All you have to do is go to a different country, think about Africa. But we have the responsibility to do that. So in my mind, what Pan-Africanism isn't, is it's just not something we talk about. It's something that we have to work towards. We have to be intentful, right? And we have to stop the things that we need to stop. Start doing what we haven't done and continue doing the good thing. The good needs to continue. The thing that we haven't started needs to be started. And then the ugliness and this other stuff that does not help any one of us, including the continent itself, needs to stop, because Africa is about to change. And I want to live to see Africa changing for what we envision it, and not become something that nobody recognizes as an Africa. We're so quick to drop what we have and learn the newer thing, like something that isn't us, something that does not necessarily belong to Africa. Being okay with who we are and how God created us, and He did not make a mistake when He put me right there when He could have put me anywhere else. There's a reason why I was given an opportunity to come here and live here longer and go to school and get educated and have the experiences that I have, because I feel like, not because I think I'm better, but that is an opportunity for me to share what I have based on the opportunity that I see.
100%. I need to download them.
Right? I mean, this is really a great conversation. It's a huge topic. I just wanted us to start from the basics, understanding what it is and what it isn't. I know I can interpret this whichever way I want to, and people can also do the same thing. But I hope you and I can continue to have these conversations and maybe add some more people so that we can get a more different perspective. I'm going to hold you to the whole going to Africa. I cannot wait for that to happen.
Yeah, we're doing it. I already started Ethiopia. That's where we launched One Africa in Addis Ababa. That was our first trip. Awesome. And we are planning the second one. So yeah, we're gonna go everywhere. And awesome.
You can count me and the organization was in creating One Africa, because One Africa needs to happen right here in the Western world too.
We have a huge community there in the United States, and people that have been in the team, and we're definitely going to open the branch in the US as well, and other countries in Africa, and even in the UK. Before
we wrap it up, because we started maybe 5 minutes late, I'm gonna share that song I was telling you from Miss Anne Kansime, Before You Leave.
That's cool.
Let me find
I'm a musician too, so I love songs.
You'll find sometimes you know where you are, but not where you want to be. Just take your time, really pace yourself, have a little bit of faith in you. You'll find, and then you don't. You'll find that you feel it, and then you don't. It's only the beginning. Please don't sweat it. It's only the beginning. Please don't sweat it. Oh.
not love Africa, right?
It's on fire. Yeah. Who doesn't love Africa?
Who doesn't love Africa? We love you just the way you are. And I'm going to show you love. I think in my mind, to wrap this up, Pan-Africanism is showing Africa love. Africa is the content. Africa is you. Africa is me, right? I should be okay with you just the way you are. You should be okay with me just the way I am. And until we start embracing that, Pan-Africanism is going to be a theory for most of us, a movement for most of us, and not necessarily an action. So I'm going to give you 1 minute for final thought before we wrap this up.
Wow. I always say this, that, Africa is one big family with 55 different children. 54 countries in Africa and one brothers and sisters outside. And then I was saying that you're a mother of two. You know that when you have, kids, they don't have the same behavior, same character, even IQ, they're different, right? Having 55 different children, you cannot expect the same from every single children. Some of them, they will be rude. Some of them, they will be kind. Some of them will be talking too much. Some of them, they wouldn't care about anything and all those stuff. And that's the beauty. Our diversity is one pillar of our unity, and unity is strength. Nyerere once said that without unity, there's no future for Africa. So if I would want to, everyone to remember just one thing, that we are Pan-Africanism. It's about, fighting for our lives, fighting for the present and the future, learning from the past and making sure that it's never going to happen again what happened before. And so we should embrace one another. We should love one another. Pointing fingers is always bad, because there's a lot of fingers pointing back at you. So we have to be open to learn from one another. And, the moment you stop learning, you stop growing. And I think Africans, we have to learn from one another. And that means we have to go to different countries. We have to study about different countries. We have to visit to see how they live their culture. It's Africa, but we have different culture. We might have a lot of things in similar, but also we have a lot of things that we need to learn from one another. And yeah, we should be open-minded, ready to do that. And I believe Africa will never be the same one day.
Right. Hopefully for the good.
Yeah.
Hopefully for the good and by the grace of God, because we can't do it on our own. We do not have the power. It's not by power nor by might. By the grace of God is what I believe Africa would be, what God intended Africa to be. At the end of the day, what he says goes. You and I can say a whole lot of stuff. My word does not necessarily hold a whole lot of weight, but one single word from the heavens makes the difference. So by the grace of God, Africa should come together, and I cannot wait until I find myself somewhere in Africa again. And thank you for your time.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. I've been there, but
Tanzania.
We're right. Yes. If I get the invitation, you know what? I will be there. Absolutely. Because I do want to see the different parts of Africa. So it's not just assumption. It's not about what we hear. You experience it. And that's what you then transfer to the next generation. So I want to say thank you. Thank you for everything you do. And keep doing it. More power to you. Don't lose heart. You're going to have some challenges, but don't lose heart. Challenges are opportunities. So go do more. Yeah. Go do what God would have you do. And always put him in front of you, and you'll be okay. So
Amen to that.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. I cannot wait to have you there. We'll talk about that too.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. If you want to follow us, you can follow him on Swahili Nations is his YouTube channel, and you can also follow me at Independent Voice. We both have YouTube channels that you can follow. And then if you are interested in joining us for this kind of conversation in the future, feel free to reach out to me on my Facebook. And you can find me in Independent Voice, either on the YouTube channel or our Facebook. And we also have a website. So you can find our website for Independent Voice, and you can also leave me information there. Hey, by the way, take a second and tell us, where else you're getting ready to go. I know you had mentioned that you have different interviews and your plans. So if anybody wants to know and follow you, why don't you take a minute and tell us what you're up to?
Indeed. Today, 9 p.m., that means almost 2 hours from now, a little bit less than 2 hours, I'll be having a conversation with someone from Djibouti, getting to know that country. So you can join us in Swahili Nation YouTube channel. And then after that, I'll actually be flying to Ethiopia.
Wow. So
I'm going to Ethiopia this night. We'll be having Pan-Africanism Summit, Youth Summit there at Skylight Hotel. So if you are in the country, if you're an artist, you can come around. There'll be various guests, and we'll be talking about what basically we're talking about here. That's why I really appreciate this. You guys, you stay connected with our social media. I'm using Mika Chavala on Facebook, on Instagram, on everywhere, and Swahili Nation as well. And there's a lot of things coming up, so we'll be able to update you guys through my social medias and Twitter as well, Mika Chavala. I put a lot of updates there.
Well, more power to you. Hats off to you. Thank you so much for your time. Go do good. Go do more.
Thank you.
May the grace of God help you. And thank you for your time again. And
Amen.
Say to everyone for me, in Tanzania, in Ethiopia, anywhere and everywhere you go, you let them know that they have a sister they never knew they had.
Oh yeah. I like that. That should be your introduction.
Right? The sister that they never thought they had. Yes, I like that. So thank you so much. Have a good evening. I know it's getting late over there. I'm sure you have so many different things to do.
I appreciate my sister.
My brother, have a safe trip to Ethiopia. Please tell anyone you meet in Ethiopia that they have a sister that they don't even know about. And I can't wait to be there and meet everyone. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
God bless. Asante sana. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Don't waste it. Live a life over meaning, my brother. Yeah. Just set the pace for the